Good day, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all well. Now, in today's video, we're going to be going over my R31 Skyline behind me. So if you're a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for joining. This is my 1990 R31 Skyline. Now, this is a factory manual GX sedan, so Australian delivered. I've had this car for around 10 years. And in today's video, we're pretty much just going to do a cost breakdown of what it's cost me to purchase a car as well as build it over the last 10 years. Now, it used to be a dedicated drift car, not so much dedicated, but it was always registered, but I built it as a drift car, sort of put it back onto the road because these cars are going up in value and it's harder and harder to get parts and stuff like that for them. So for my new viewers, I will just do a quick little tour of the car if you haven't seen it. I've got plenty of videos on this car now. It's RB30 NA at the moment. We're going to turbo it very soon. The reason I love it being NA is because it's just so simple, not much to go wrong, and it's been a fantastic car ever since I got it back in 2012. So a quick rundown on the car. Here at the front of the car, we have the HR31 projector headlights. Now these things are so expensive now. They cost me nothing back in the day, and they make the car look so cool. I love the way it makes this car look. It really sets off the front end of this car. Also, we have the, this is actually a GTS X front bumper bar off a mate's coupe I bought. So it's got the little air dam in the front there, and that's not cut out. It's all genuine and everything's broken from the track. The bottom there is a custom lip that we made, and it's been through absolute hell, as you can see. I definitely have to get something new for the front because, yeah, it sort of makes this car look like a bit of a beater. Onto the side here, we have Work Equip 03s. These are copies because at the time when I bought these wheels, I didn't want to get genuine wheels because I was always on the track, so I didn't want to smash a wheel and it being very expensive to replace. It was much easier to replace a copy wheel. And in the front there, we have S13 front end conversion, very common thing on these cars as well, with the S13 turbo brakes and the McPherson style front. Coming down to the side here, we have Subaru Liberty side skirts. I always forget what year these skirts are from. I get asked all the time. I forgot. I just bought them off a bloke back in like 2015, and they fit up quite nice on these cars. So the interior in this car is a Series 2 silhouette interior. It's not the original interior that would have came on this car. That's the original color up there, which is the beige sort of sandalwood color, but I love the Series 2 interior because that black and gray combo, it looks so nice. In there you can see our GK Tech Hydro just hiding away in the factory handbrake location. Coming in the back here, we have Merlo Fabrications roll cage, which is all ADR approved for the tracks. This is a bolt-in cage, and I got this about probably 2 years ago for this car. Gutted out rear interior. Now coming to the back here, I forgot to mention they are Hankook Venturi RS4s. So they're semi-slick, as well as in the rear you'll probably see two calipers. So we got one up there and one down there. They are VS Commodore calipers on an RB factory mount, and one runs the handbrake, one runs the foot brake. And we got our T2 slotted rotors there as well. Coming up to the top here, we have the old cut roof louver as a roof wing. That was a very common thing to be done on R31s back in the day and even now. So rear louvers are very hard to get now. They are, back in the day, you used to get these for nothing. I got this pretty much for free. They used to break at the bottom, so you cut them into a roof wing, and it was a very budget way to have a roof spoiler. Also, we have the Venetians. They are not genuine, but they're just the metal Venetians that were made for these cars. So this is a Series 3 car. There's a distinguishable circle taillights at the back. These are called hot plates because they reminisce, you know, hot plate, you know, stove. We have the Silhouette Series 2 rear spoiler on it, which I love. It gives you that 80s lip style at the back. So I absolutely love that. Mostly cosmetics on this car, you know, it's all the normal stuff that's usually done to these cars over time. You know, a few tricks and that here and there, like the front lip and the skirts, just to make sort of a, you know, budget body kit without having to spend, you know, tons of money on a Urus kit or HR31 kit. So yeah, it was a very, very budget built car back in the day. It still is now. And obviously we'll go over the price very soon of what it costs, but it's awesome to see how much these cars have skyrocketed in value. Over the years, I've owned just over 10 of them, and you know, this is my first and my second car ever. So this one obviously very sentimental to myself. Even though they go up, you know, in value, it's still, you know, $1,000 car to me. So now we'll have a quick look at the motor. It's not very exciting in there, it's just the NA RB30. So coming into the engine bay, nothing really spectacular, just an NA RB30E. It's got this absolutely munted pod filter on it. A Hurricane 3 to 2-in-1 extractors. This car was turbo when I bought it. So have a look under the headlight here. It's all been cut out in there. It used to have cooler piping running through it. This car was making about, I think, 220 kilowatt at the time. I had my 180SX at the time. I was still 16, so I didn't want two turbo cars on my Ps. So I bought this NA. and it was $1,000 cheaper. So the engine has head studs, it has a head gasket done, so it's got an MLS in it. It's also got the 818B cam in it, which is the GDS cam. It rips for what it is. With the 411 diff ratios in it, it goes hard. It accelerates quite hard. And I remember a buddy of mine had a Neo swapped one of these, which is an R34 motor. This is still better by a car length, so it's still got plenty of power for what it is. It sounds grouse. It's got the stainless 2.5-inch system that runs all the way to the rear, and we got a DEA rear cannon, 2.5-inch to 6-inch, which has been absolutely battered from all the driveways I've scraped on. Yeah guys, that's pretty much a basic overview of this car, and I get a lot of questions about it, so hopefully in this video I can answer as many as possible. I did do a video a while ago about what I love and hate about this car. I've also done a video of things to look out for when you're going to buy an R31 Skyline, so just types of things like rust and mechanical things and all the things to look out for if you're going to buy one, and all the red flags to deter you from buying a pretty crappy one. But these cars are getting quite old now, so beginning to become collectible, so you're starting to see a lot more on the road these days than compared to when I was into them. But this car isn't the cleanest, but you know, it looks good. Yeah, every scratch in this car tells a story. Every mark has a bit of history behind it, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, like, it's done heaps of track events, it's been tandems, it's done everything, and it's been a great street car. Dailied it for almost 60 years. It's just done everything. It's all round amazing. After this video, you guys can go out and find your own and enjoy them before they just become too unattainable, because it looks like that's where it's going in this day and age. Hopefully they drop, but I don't think they will anytime soon. Now that we've had a decent overview and a bit of a ramble, I think what we'll do now is jump in the car. I'll go over all the pricing and what it's cost me to build this car over the 10 years that I've owned it, and get it up to this point that it is currently. Alright guys, so we've just moved up the road. Sorry if I sound really nasally today, I have the worst hay fever. So, on my phone in front of me right now, I have the Skyline build breakdown, or the price breakdowns. First of all, I'm going to start with things that I got for free. The S13 front end that's on this car, I got that for free. I did a job for a mate of mine. I helped him with his R31, and in return for payment, he gave me the S13 front end. Silhouette interior that I am sitting in right now, that was for free because I had a donor car at the time. I paid like $600 for this silhouette, and ended up parting it out, and the interior ended up in this car, so it didn't really cost me anything. The rear louver spoiler and the Venetians were also for free because same thing, I did a job for a mate, and I also found him a seller for his car, and in return he gave me those. So that was a pretty good deal for those. So first of all, starting off with the car. So the car back in the day I paid $1,000 for. This was 2012, it was around December. From memory, God, I just blinded myself in the face. This car actually was an rally car slash autocross car. So it had done a lot of rally events, and the guy sold it to me. It was covered in dust. It was disgusting. It was chalkboard paint. It was, yeah, it's been through a lot. So I ended up getting it for $1,000, and obviously the manual was a big one. Had a factory LSD in the back as well. And being a GX, complete base model. So wind up windows. Does have cruise control though, which is very weird. So yeah, car was $1,000. The wheels on it, I bought them from a buddy of mine, and I ended up paying $1,000 for the wheels and the tires. So the work equip copies with the semi-slicks was $1,000, so that was a pretty good price. The roll cage behind me, that was $300 because we ended up picking that up from another drifter at Calder Park. So we picked that up at the racetrack. So that was $300. The battery, we replaced the battery in this, that was about $160. Power steering pump, we had to replace that. It's actually got a GQ Patrol power steering pump on it. That was $100 from the wreckers. The front projector headlights, they were $150. I know a lot of you are going to be like, what the fuck, because they're like $1,000 now. Back in the day, they were probably around $500 to $800, but I ended up getting them from a buddy of mine who ended up writing off his 31 and sold them to me cheap because the car was a write-off and insurance took it. Front bumper bar, we paid $50 for that. That was from a mate of mine's coupe. The rear silhouette lip, that was $150, which is probably about what they go for now, I think, about $150, $200 for a rear lip for these, so that sounds about right. The hydro, that was about 200 just for the hydro and all the lines and fittings and stuff like that. So the rear diff dual caliper setup, I brought that whole rear diff as a whole unit. So it was disc to disc with the dual calipers, the RB factory mount, the 411s and the adjustable pan, hard rod, everything. I ended up paying 400 for that, so that was a pretty good price for just a bolt-in application. So I literally removed my old diff center and axle and then replaced it with the beast that's in the back now. The alternator was 300 bucks. We put a Bosch high amperage alternator in it. The side skirts, they were 200. I think I bought them in like 2015. Exhaust I had made up for roadworthy, so we ended up getting the stainless system, and that was about $260. The rear cannon was $60, and then my mate charged me 40 bucks to install the hangers and all that stuff and weld it all on, and that ended up being 100 bucks for the rear cannon. Walbro 255 fuel pump, which is a good mod for these if you slide them around so they don't starve. That was 120. The pod filter and stuff like that was about 50 bucks. All the paint for the two-tone, I did the paint for this car myself. It was all just in a garage job, so it was all cans and Autobahn stuff. That was $180. The clutch for this, because we had to replace the clutch, that was $280 because it was a Exceedi heavy duty clutch, which has been doing phenomenal. And the last thing we've had that I can remember that we paid for this car is the windscreen had to be replaced because that was fully cracked. One day I put my steering lock on. As I put the steering lock on, I pulled on the wheel and it smashed the windscreen. So that was $220 for the windscreen. Overall, this entire car, from when I bought it in 2012 to now, it's almost been 10-year anniversary. It owes me about $5,220. That's a pretty rough estimate. I haven't factored in things like rego, insurance, stuff like that, because, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. But, you know, even stuff like head unit and that, you know, my mum paid for that for me when I was 18, stuff like that. And, you know, it's just little things I haven't really added into the cost. I'll probably remember down the track. But, yeah, around 5.2 for a car like this. So this is a full kitted out, you know, track spec Skyline, if you want to call it that. So in today's day and age, that'll probably get you a pretty rusty Silhouette or something. In today's prices, you're looking at around, you know, 3 to 5 grand for a semi-decent R31. You know, back in the day, you'd buy a turbo one for 2 grand. You'd buy a really nice one, $500 to $1,000. I bought a white one that was fully kitted out. It was mint condition, and that was I think the most I ever paid for a 31 was $1,000, which was this one and a white one I had. And all the other Skylines I've had was around, you know, the $500 to $700. Some of them I'd buy for slabs of beer. People were just literally giving them away. That was the way it was at the time. So now it's much different, but, you know, I can reminisce on those times and, you know, have good yarns about it. It's much different now, and I am very grateful I still have mine, and I love it to bits. I'll never sell it. Yeah, I hope you guys like it too. A lot of you messaged me saying this car's a big inspiration for your builds, or, you know, you to get a 31, and that means a lot, because when I had this car back in the day, there was a lot of 31s I looked up to, you know, in the groups and that. A lot of them have just completely disappeared off the face of the earth, and for my car to be one of those cars, because back in the day it was a shit heap, for my car to be one of those cars that, you know, people want to build up to, it's quite a great feeling, and I really appreciate and respect that so much. Well, that pretty much covers the cost of this car. So I reckon what we'll do is we'll fire up. We'll go for a bit of a mountain run as we leave this area. We'll go through the hills, and yeah, and then we'll wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe subscribe. A lot more to come in this channel. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.